Welcome back to Midday with Mr. Paulette. So, where we left off was roughly the 2000s, and again, we're moving backwards. So, we're going to be moving into the 80s and the 90s today. We're going to start that off by talking about the destruction of disco. So, disco was this dance music you've probably heard of. You kind of have images of a disco ball, people dancing kind of like disco. You've probably heard of it. That was sort of around the 70s and the early 80s. And when that fades out of popularity, there's a big hole that gets left. Dance clubs, nobody really has anything to play. So R&B sort of steps up to fill the role. A lot of different types of music actually step up to fill the role. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. So my big idea. Disco died so that R&B and hip-hop could live. There wasn't space for all of them. So in the early 80s or late 70s, disco pretty much fades out. It's replaced by a bunch of different genres, including, but not limited to, urban, go-go, new jack swing, trip-hop, and acid jazz. Now, that was a lot of different genres, but it's okay. We're going to go over some of them we're not going to worry about too much. First off, we know urban. We already know about it. We talked about it yesterday. Watched a video from yesterday. I know not all of you have, but it's a good one. It's a good one, I promise. We already know about new jack swing. Remember, this was kind of the old radio style with the percussion or the drum machine. They'd play drum music and then people might like rap over it or sing over it. It's sort of a very kind of niche old kind of style, but still important, especially when you're talking about the development of R&B, to talk about new jack swing. So the other ones that we talked about, let's start with go-go. Go-go music, my definition is basically it's just house party music of the 80s that was not focused on the words, but only focused on the beat, really. It was meant for dancing. It kind of came out of the Washington, D.C. area. That's where it kind of originated. Kind of like how jazz, you can say it sort of originated out of New Orleans. Sure, it was other places, but like you can kind of trace it back to there. We're not going to get super into go-go, but one of the questions on the forum today asks you, what are the different types? Or one of the different types. I don't even remember. Probably because I make the forums after I do the videos, but don't stress. So, go-go music, house party music, DC area. It sounds like very bass heavy and it's super funky. Remember how we have our four elements? We've got soul, funk, hip hop, and electronic. Those are our four elements of contemporary R&B. This is pretty much the era that the funk part of this really comes from. And we can trace that to go-go music a lot. Now, go-go music by no means is where funk came from. But go-go music gets influence from funk. So in one of your required listening examples that I know you're doing, it's an NPR Tiny Desk concert with this band called Trouble Funk. They're a little bit older now. They're not that old, but like they used to be really, really hip. Now they're like middle-aged hip. Still pretty cool dudes. For the video, it's like 25 minutes long. Only watch like the first bit. You just need to watch the first song, if that. Even if you only get halfway into the song, that's okay. But if you watch in the background in the beginning, there's a guy playing these different colored cowbells that are like mounted to a rack, and they all sound like different pitches of cowbell. Those are modeled after go-go bells. Go-go bells are this type of bell. I'm gonna get a picture here. There's two bells, a high bell and a low bell. And this sort of comes from like an Afro-Cuban tradition. But essentially the gist is when you hear him playing those bells in the video, you can probably imagine what these go-go bells sound like. Hence the name go-go music. Not all go-go music has these bells, but it's a very common thing. Two of the other ones I said were trip-hop and acid jazz. Both of these ones are not as important for us, so we're not going to get too into them. Trip-hop was really only a thing in the UK. It's essentially, chill hop vibes, like the 10-hour YouTube compilations that they do, like study beats and stuff like that. It was essentially that, but the 90s version and for people in the UK. I tried to find a good example of this, and it wasn't worth your time to listen to, is essentially the goal. I don't want to give you guys a mountain of listening. You've got plenty of things to do. Or if you're bored, go out and look up trip hop. Acid jazz, though, that was the other one that's less important. It's a little bit more important than trip hop. This music was played by a generation raised on jazz as well as funk and hip hop. So jazz, funk, and hip hop. Acid jazz uses elements of all three. It was primarily performed live. It had roots in Afro-Cuban music. And here are some key artists. You ready? Galliano, Incognito, and the Brand New Heavies. I did research that last night. I didn't know about it before. I don't expect you to have either. But really the only one of those three that I'm going to make you try to remember is the Brand New Heavies. Our listening example today is by them, the Brand New Heavies, and it's called Never Stop. It's in your required listening folder on YouTube again. I know you're all doing that because I can see who does do the listening and who doesn't. It's my playlist. I can see who views it. So bear that in mind. Anyway, so that's trip hop and acid jazz. If you forget everything from today, forget that part of it. But in conclusion, the 80s and 90s R&B sound pretty much springs directly out of disco fading out of the popular light. So disco dies and people need new music to dance to. Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, who are going to be the primary focus of tomorrow, they're kind of key pioneers during this time. So we'll talk about them tomorrow. We'll talk about some of their music and why they're important. Now, I did say we were going to talk about the final, so pay attention. Let me see. I've got a little slideshow. I'm going to be posting exactly what I'm saying about the final project in the page in the form of a slideshow that you can flip through. It's got the rubric. It has what I want you to talk about. It has how I'm going to grade it. It has when it's due. It has everything I'm about to pretty much tell you. But I'll go ahead and tell you what those things are now so you can hear it from my voice and have them saved. I'm going to start at the end of the slideshow. The due date. The due date for this project is January 6th. That is, let's see, a Wednesday. So that is, we have finals on Thursday and Friday. So remember, I won't see you either of those days. So I'll see you on Tuesday. Tuesday will be a work day, but you'll only have 40-ish minutes. So don't not do anything and then come to the work day like, I didn't know we had to have a final done. No. This is me telling you. Have it ready on Tuesday. So that on Tuesday you can show it to me and be like, what should I change? And I'll be like, I think you forgot to talk about the history. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, you're so smart. Thank you so much. And I'll be like, no problem. Just doing my civic duty. But no, for real. Start it over break. Start it even on January 2nd or 3rd. You won't have anything to do. You'll be coming back from the holidays. Anyway, get it done before then. Now I'll go back to the beginning so you can actually know what we're doing. The project, which this is your final grade, so this is an important one, is to choose one of the three options as a way to discuss an artist of choice in the R&B community. So when you're looking up R&B artists, remember, it is a broad category. I will let you choose anybody and argue that they are an R&B artist if you can prove your point and say that they are an R&B artist. So your job is to choose one of three options. Number one, create a video similar to the style of Midday with Mr. Paulette discussing any R&B artists. Number two, write a 2-page, double-spaced, size 12 times New Roman, paper discussing an R&B artist. Or number three, create a slideshow presentation that lasts at least 3 minutes and present it to the class. Presenting? Mr. Paulette, how are we going to present? Oh, January 6th when we all come in. And it's not a work day, it's a watch the videos and people who do presentations day. Don't try to do this all on the one work day I give you, please. It'd just be silly. Anyway, what to discuss in your project. Number one, there are going to be three things. So number one, you got to talk about the history. Tell us about your artist background. Where do they come from? Why do you think the artist did what they did? Give me more than just, this artist was born on January 19th, 1972. I don't care. I don't need their birthday. Come on now. Tell me a little bit more about them. There's only 3 categories you're getting points for here. Do not let this one be weak. Number 2, the sound. As an artist or group, what did they sound like? You can talk about your opinions of how they sounded. Did you hate this group? Did you love this group? You can talk about that. That's fine. Talk about their sound breakdown. Discuss maybe one of their... you must discuss at least one of their songs. Talk about the instruments, the vocals, the mood, etc. Just like I did for all those other ones on the 10 Years of R&B playlist or slideshow. That's in the Google in the Google Classroom as well. Wow, I am stuttering this morning. It is early. Let me drink some coffee. Anyway, I'm just going to say that whole thing again. Sound breakdown. You got to talk about at least one of their songs. You got to break down the instrumentals, vocals, the mood, etc. It's exactly what I did on the 10 years of R&B like slideshow. It's in the Google Classroom. Just go back. Don't ask me where it is. It's in the Google Classroom. So you got to break down their sound, and last but not least, could you make the argument that they are also in another genre? For example, if you were going to talk about Usher, Usher's the #1 R&B artist of pretty much the entire 2000s, but you might make the argument that he's also in the rap genre, or that he's also in the rock and roll genre. NWA just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so if you can make the argument that NWA, which is a rap group of the 80s, is part of it's part of the rock and roll group, I'm sure you can make an argument that they're part of another genre. Or you can make the argument that they're only R&B. That's fine too. You just have to defend your argument. So, first we had history, then we had sound. Last but not least, you have one pretty much a freebie category. This one is a softball. Talk about some of their successes in one paragraph or less. So don't make your entire video about this artist won the Grammy in 1963. Then they won the Grammy again in 1964. I don't care. This is free points. Just do the one paragraph I'm asking. Move on. You'll get the same amount of points if you write one paragraph if you tell me the same thing over 10 minutes. Don't waste your time. So, history, sound, and successes. Those are the 3 categories that you will be discussing in your paper/video/presentation. Some details. This project will be done alone. It is your final, unless you choose to do a video, in which case you may have somebody else film you. If you choose to do a video, both people have to present an equal amount of information. Equal amount of information. If you have one person who talks the whole time, and then one guy who does make funny bits, that's great. Whoever is making funny bits is going to get an F on their final and fail this class for the semester. Don't do that. Don't. Both of you can talk. You're all smart. I know every single one of you is capable of doing any of these options. I like to give you more than one option because I know some of you like the videos, some of you hate the videos. So do what you want. But don't slack. This will be worth a lot of points. Check the point breakdown on the final slides for more information. I'm not going to break that down for you on camera. This slideshow will be posted in the Google Classroom. You're welcome to check it out yourself. Primarily, each of my 3 categories is going to be worth 25 out of the 100 points. So you talk about all 3 of those things, you'll at least have a 75%. For the paper, the other 25 come from writing style, format, not plagiarizing. I will catch you. I'm 23. I know how to use the internet. Control F is the easiest thing in the world. Grammarly works. I've got a subscription. I had to pay for it so I can find you guys. It's not hard. Presentation, the other 25 points come from making the slideshow not basic. Some of you are really good at that. Some of you guys really like the transitions, and those always make me smile. And the video, the other 25 points come from cooperation/presentation and effort. So if your partner comes to me and they tell me that you didn't do anything, I'm prone to believe them because nobody just says that about a partner who did do a lot. Yeah. Oh, and effort. Obviously, it takes a little bit of effort to get everything edited, hence why this one's coming out late. I have to throw together this whole montage that was in the beginning. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed Midday with Mr. Paulette. When I do post the final thing, you should ask any questions about the final in the comments. That way everybody can see your questions and what I answer them, because that is good for other people. They really also probably have the same questions and just don't want to ask them. And if you do choose to do the video and get a partner, you have to let me know if you're using a partner and who they are. And do that in the Google Classroom. Don't just snap each other and be like, "You want to work together on that?" Because I don't care about your Snapchat. I don't have it. That's not true. I have Snapchat. I just don't have your Snapchat, and nor do I want it. So, anyway, it's Wednesday, my dudes. Go get it. Tomorrow we're talking about Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, and make sure you answer the form that I'm posting. Anyway, Merry Christmas. Bye.